My family edited out my 7-year-old daughter from the family Christmas video. We've all voted. You're not family, my sister said. My daughter burst into tears. I didn't cry. I did this. The next morning, their lives started to unravel. Christmas Eve had that fake kind of warmth, the one you get from forced smiles and an oven set too high. My parents' living room smelled like cinnamon candles and tension. Rachel, my sister, was running the show as usual. She'd been calling this year's project Our Legacy. There was even a red bow taped over the TV because tonight was the premiere. Her word, not mine. My daughter Anya sat in front of me on the carpet, practically glowing. She'd been talking about this video for weeks, telling her teacher, her friends, anyone who'd listen that she was going to be in a Christmas movie. She had brushed her hair 3 times before we left the house and kept asking if her glitter shoes looked movie enough. "Do you think Grandma will like it?" she asked. "She'll love it," I said. I hoped I was right. Rachel dimmed the lights. "Okay, everyone." Phones away. Let's make this special. The screen came to life. There was music, sleigh bells, snow. Then the familiar faces. Mom arranging cookies, Dad pretending to fix a bulb while everyone laughed. The crowd of relatives chuckled. "So cute," someone said. Then Rachel's kids filled the screen, covered in flour, squealing with laughter. Applause. I smiled and waited. 5 minutes. Nothing. 10 minutes. Still nothing. My stomach started to twist. The camera panned across the family decorating the tree, except the frame cut off just before it reached where Anya and I had been standing that day. It jumped to another shot. Gone. Rachel's voice played over the montage. "Family is what you build together." Someone sighed happily. "That's beautiful." Anya turned around to look at me. "When are we in it?" I swallowed. "Any minute now." But the credits rolled, edited by Rachel. Applause again. Actual applause. Anya blinked. "Mommy, where are we?" The room went very quiet for me, even though everyone else was talking. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Rachel was already hugging Mom, who was crying for reasons unclear. Dad raised his glass. "To family." I stood up before my mouth could say something I'd regret. "Excuse us." No one stopped me. In the hallway, I took a long breath. Behind me, Anya's small footsteps hurried to catch up. "Did we do something wrong?" she asked. "No," I said, but it came out broken. "You didn't do anything wrong." She rubbed her eyes. "Maybe they didn't like how I looked." That sentence hit like a slap. I went back in. Rachel was refilling drinks, still glowing. "Quick question," I said. My voice was calm. It scared even me. "We weren't in the video." She didn't even look guilty. "Oh, that. It was just too long. We trimmed a few parts. She shrugged. "It didn't feel cohesive." You know, the family theme. I stared at her. "You cut out a 7-year-old for cohesion?" Rachel lowered her voice, all sweet poison. "Don't make this a scene." We all talked about it. We felt it didn't fit the overall message, the message being that we're a close family. I laughed, because the other option was murder. "So you edited us out for accuracy." She folded her arms. "You've been distant, Julia." We voted. It just didn't feel authentic. "You voted?" "It was unanimous." She paused, then said the words like they meant nothing. "We've all voted. You're not family." I stared at her. "You actually said that out loud?" Rachel tilted her head. "It's better to be honest." Anya's quiet crying filled the pause. Mom appeared, frowning. "Honey, please. She's upsetting the children." "She is a child," I said. "You just didn't notice." Rachel rolled her eyes. Julia, please. Let's not ruin Christmas. I laughed. You already did. I took Anya's hand, grabbed our coats, and walked out. No one followed. Not one person. Outside, the cold hit like truth. Anya pressed her face into my coat. Was I too silly? I can be better next time. My throat hurt. You were perfect, baby. Absolutely perfect. She nodded, but her lip trembled. Then why did they take me out? Because they could, I thought. Because it was easy. The sky was black velvet, the kind that makes Christmas lights look cruel. Back home, she went straight to her room. I heard her talking softly to her stuffed bear, reciting the same lines she'd practiced for the video. Merry Christmas from our family to yours. I sat on the couch and stared at the blinking tree lights. One on, one off, one on, like a warning signal. Every year, my sister found a new way to remind me that we were a footnote. This year, she just made it official. I wanted to call someone, to yell, to demand an explanation, but there was no one left to call. The phone stayed dark on the coffee table. After a while, Anya came out in her pajamas. Her eyes were swollen, but she tried to smile. Maybe next year we can make our own video, she said. I nodded. Maybe we will. She crawled into my lap, small and warm, smelling like shampoo and heartbreak. Mommy? Yeah? I think they don't like us. I pressed my chin to her hair. Then we'll like us enough for both of them. She nodded against me, tired. Okay. I held her until she fell asleep, the glow of the tree flickering across her face. And in that quiet, something in me hardened. Not anger, not revenge. Just certainty. They could cut us out all they wanted. This time, we'd make sure everyone saw it. Families like mine don't need villains. They just need silence. And I filled that role perfectly. I was the middle child, Rachel the leader, Luke the favorite, me the background noise. Rachel ran our lives like a company. Every event had a theme, a schedule, and an after-action report. She was the child who got gold stars just for giving other people instructions. Luke was the baby, the family mascot. He could crash a car into the garage, and Dad would call it boys being boys. Me? I was the steady one, reliable, invisible, the kind of kid teachers forgot to call on. Mom used to brag, Julia's our easy one. Easy meaning quiet. Easy meaning forgettable. When I was a teenager, I started writing stories. Little movie scenes in cheap notebooks, families who noticed each other, kids who were chosen first. Once I said I wanted to study film. Rachel laughed like I'd announced I wanted to join the circus. Mom said, Honey, that's not a career. You're good with computers, so I got good with computers. I folded up the stories and put them away. Years later, I met a man who looked at me like I wasn't the middle of anything. He was charming in that fast-talking, too many promises way that feels like love when you've never been believed in before. By the time I realized I was pregnant, he was already gone. When I told my parents, they reacted like I'd set the house on fire. Rachel said, Well, someone has to be the family lesson. Mom cried, not for me, for her reputation. Dad just stared, disappointed that I hadn't even gotten a ring out of it. Anya was born healthy and loud, both things my family didn't know how to handle. For them, single motherhood was something whispered about, not lived out loud. When I brought her over for holidays, Mom introduced her as Julia's little situation. But then Luke had a baby too. A casual fling, one he bragged about over beer. And somehow that made him interesting. Mom called him charming. Dad called him wild. Rachel called him lucky. Apparently, for men, accidental parenthood was adorable. For women, it was proof of poor judgment. All three of us had kids by then, but only two of us got framed photos on the mantle. Rachel's children were practically a brand, matching outfits, choreographed smiles, an entire wing of my parents' house devoted to their art projects. Luke's daughter was next in line. Weekend visits, her own stocking, her picture on the family Christmas card. Mom even bought a gift for Luke's ex last year. "She's family now," she'd said. I looked down at Anya's name tag on the present pile. Spelled wrong. Again. Still, I kept showing up. I told myself it mattered that Anya knew her cousins. Rachel's kids adored her. They didn't know they were supposed to see her as lesser. So when Rachel came up with the idea for the family Christmas video, I said yes. It felt like a truce, maybe even a fresh start. She hired a cameraman, Evan, quiet, polite, the type who looked like he'd apologize for taking up space. He spent the month filming everyone. Rachel's kids baking cookies, Luke's daughter sledding with Grandpa, even Luke's ex laughing in the background as she handed out cocoa. I asked, "Do you need us for anything else?" Rachel smiled. "We'll see how it all fits together." I didn't realize fit together meant cut out. I tried not to notice the pattern, but it was impossible to miss. Rachel got the spotlight. Luke got indulgence. I got reminders to be grateful I was allowed in the room. When Mom talked about Luke, she said, "He's so good with his daughter." Translation: he showed up twice this month. When she talked about me, she said, "Julia's doing her best." Translation: we're embarrassed, but at least she pays her bills. Still, I believed in second chances. For Anya's sake, not mine. When Rachel asked if we'd come for the final screening, Anya squealed so loud the neighbor's dog barked. She laid out her dress days in advance, practiced her lines for the interview Evan had filmed. She said, "This is going to show everyone we're a real family." I didn't have the heart to tell her the truth. We already were. It just didn't count unless Rachel approved. Looking back now, I see how obvious it was. The polite smiles, the missing calls, the way Luke's daughter had her own solo in the group carol, while Anya's part was mysteriously lost in editing. Rachel always said she wanted a family that looked perfect. She finally got it, by deleting the parts that proved it wasn't. I'd spent my whole life trying to belong to a family that edited people in real time. That Christmas, I just hadn't realized the final cut was coming. The night we got home from Christmas, I sat at the kitchen table and opened my banking app. 5 taps later, every automatic transfer labeled Family Fund or Rachel's holiday budget was gone. No warning, no explanation. Delete, delete, delete. If they wanted me out, I'd give them the clean version. I stared at the screen for a long time afterward, waiting to feel guilty. I didn't. Anya didn't speak much that week. She'd stopped crying, which somehow hurt more. She just wandered the apartment, humming Christmas songs under her breath, like she was trying to remember how it used to feel. I found her sitting by the window, knees pulled to her chest. "Baby," I said softly, "want to draw something?" She shook her head. "No one wants to see it." That was the moment something inside me snapped. The quiet kind of snap that doesn't make noise, it just rearranges everything. I picked up my phone and scrolled through contacts until I found Evan Reese. Video. He answered on the second ring. "Julia?" "It's me," I said. "You've done other projects, right?" "Not just family videos." A pause. "Yeah. I do short films sometimes. Why?" "I want one," I said. "For my daughter." He sounded cautious. "What kind of film?" "One that makes her feel like she matters." He hesitated. "Okay. I could write something small. Maybe a 4-minute short. She's the star. We can hire a few local actors, make it look nice. But it's not cheap." "How much?" 6,000? I didn't flinch. Done. He went quiet again. Are you sure? I just pulled my funding from a family that edited my kid out of existence, I said. I've got the money. He exhaled. All right. Give me a week to plan it. No, I said. Make it soon. She's forgetting how to smile. The next morning, I told Anya that the man who filmed the Christmas video had called because he couldn't stop thinking about her. He wants you to be in his new movie, I said. Her head jerked up. Really? Me? Really. You start rehearsal this weekend. She jumped off the couch and ran circles around the living room. I have to practice. What's it about? About a little girl who finds her voice, I said. I didn't tell her I was buying it. Evan sent me a short outline that night, a gentle story about a child who saves Christmas in her small town. He said it wasn't about the past, not directly, but it would show her being brave. That's all I want, I told him. Make her brave again. He asked if I wanted to change anything. I said no, but I added one line at the end. Some lights can't be switched off. He said, That's perfect. Filming started that weekend in a borrowed school auditorium. Anya wore her red dress, the one from the family video. When I saw her on set, smiling under the lights, it hit me. I hadn't seen that face since before Christmas Eve. Evan brought a small crew, 2 college students with cameras, and a couple of local actors who agreed to work for free. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Anya took direction like she'd been waiting her whole life to be told what to do by someone who didn't want to erase her. She memorized her lines, added little gestures that weren't written. At one point, she improvised a line, and the whole crew clapped. Evan whispered to me, She's a natural. I smiled. She gets that from surviving her family. On the second day, there was a scene where she had to cry. I expected fake tears. Instead, she cried quietly, convincingly, with that same heartbreak I'd seen in the car after Christmas. The room went still. When Evan called cut, she looked up at me and grinned through the tears. Did I do good? You did perfect, I said, my voice shaking. We wrapped the film in 2 days. Evan shook my hand afterward. You know, this turned out better than I expected. I'll have the edit done soon. How soon? A week, maybe. Make it faster, I said. She checks the mail like she's waiting for Hollywood. He laughed. You're a good mom, Julia. No, I said. I'm just trying to fix what they broke. That night, after Anya fell asleep, I checked my savings. The number made my stomach flip. 6,000 gone in 48 hours. But then I remembered her spinning under the studio lights, smiling like nothing bad had ever happened. If joy had a price tag, I'd pay it again. 3 days later, Evan sent me the link. Rough cut. For Julia and Anya. I waited until Anya was asleep. Then I pressed play. It opened on her face, bright and confident. The story was simple. A little girl saving her town from darkness by lighting one candle at a time. By the end, I was crying so hard I had to pause it. It wasn't about Christmas. It wasn't about revenge. It was about light. The kind you can't edit out. Evan's message followed a minute later. It's beautiful. We should submit it to festivals. Can I list you as co-writer? I stared at the screen, tears still drying on my face. For the first time in years, I didn't feel erased. I typed back. Yes. But list her first. When I went to check on Anya, she was asleep, one hand clutching her teddy bear, the other curled into a tiny fist. I brushed her hair back and whispered, They took you out of their story, sweetheart. She stirred, eyes fluttering open. But now I'm in ours? I smiled. Exactly. And for the first time since that night, the world felt like it might make sense again. When the phone rang that morning, I knew it wasn't going to be good news. The caller ID said home. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity's a stubborn thing. "Julia," Rachel snapped before I could say hello. "You have some nerve." I leaned against the counter. "Good morning to you too. You think this is funny?" "Everyone's talking about that interview." I frowned. "What interview?" Mom's voice joined in, sharp, panicked. "Don't play dumb!" "Anya told that reporter about the Christmas video." My stomach sank. "What did she say exactly?" "She said," Rachel mimicked Anya's soft voice in the cruelest way possible, "they cut me out of their Christmas movie, but then Mr. Reese made one just for me." There was shuffling, as if they'd all crowded around the same phone, ready to attack in surround sound. Dad's voice came next, loud enough to make me hold the phone away. "We've got customers asking if we're the monsters from that article. Do you realize what you've done to our business?" I closed my eyes. Their little boutique, the one covered in signs about family values and shop local, love local, must have looked a bit different today. I almost smiled. "So people recognize themselves in a story about erasing a child?" I said. "Maybe that's the part you should think about." "You need to fix this," Rachel hissed. "Call the paper." "Tell them it's not true. Tell them Anya was making it up." "She's 7, I said flatly. 7-year-olds don't make up betrayal. They just tell the truth out loud. "You're ruining us," Mom said. "No," I said. "You did that yourselves." "I just stopped cleaning up after you." There was a long silence, broken only by Rachel's last desperate threat. "If we lose the shop, I'll never forgive you." "Then I guess we're even," I said, and hung up. A few weeks earlier, none of this existed. It had just been a small local festival, folding chairs, lukewarm cider, and a projector balanced on a wobbly table. Anya wore her red dress again. She'd begged for it. "It's my lucky dress, Mommy." Evan had warned me there might be a local reporter covering the event. "They love stories about hometown kids doing something big," he said. "Don't worry," I'd told him. "She's shy." Shows what I knew. The film played beautifully. Applause filled the hall. Afterward, the reporter, a kind-looking woman with a notepad, knelt beside Anya. "Sweetheart," she asked, "how does it feel to be in your first movie?" Anya beamed. "Amazing." "I was in another one before, but they took me out." "Oh?" The reporter smiled. "Who did?" "My family," Anya said matter-of-factly. "They cut me out of the Christmas movie, so Mr. Reese made one just for me." I froze halfway to the snack table. The reporter's eyebrows lifted. "That's quite a story." "It's true," Anya said proudly. "He said I was really good." And that was that. 2 days later, a headline popped up online. "Local girl shines after being cut from family Christmas video." Then a follow-up. "Small town's sweetest scandal, when family becomes fiction." By the end of the week, everyone knew exactly which family it was. Rachel's store, the family's pride and paycheck, went quiet almost overnight. People still drove past, but no one stopped. The little bell over the door stayed silent. Someone left a 1-star review online that said, "Lovely products, shame about the owners." Apparently, compassion costs extra. By the second week, Mom called begging. "Julia, we're drowning." "People are boycotting us. Please tell Anya to apologize. Say it was a misunderstanding. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost." "I'm not teaching my daughter to lie for you," I said. "She told the truth." "Maybe you should try it for once," Mom sniffled. "We've all voted. You're not family," she said again, as if repeating it might make it true. I hung up. The funny thing about truth? It spreads faster than gossip. The local news station called Evan for comment. He kept it simple. "Anya's a talented young actress." The rest speaks for itself. Within a month, the short film started making rounds at small festivals. At one screening, they handed Anya a certificate for Best Young Performer. She held it like it was made of gold. "Does this mean I'm a real actress?" she whispered. "Sweetheart," I said, "you've been real all along." Evan smiled at us from the back of the room. Afterward, he said, "You know, there's a talent agent here tonight. Would you mind if I introduced you to—" I hesitated. "Isn't that a lot?" He shrugged. "So, was what they did to her." "Let her have this." So we met the agent, a cheerful woman named Donna who talked fast and smiled wide. She said, "We'd love to represent Anya." "We get a lot of commercials, family-friendly projects." I watched Anya's face light up. For once, I didn't overthink it. I signed the papers. By spring, Rachel's shop had closed. The front window was empty except for a faded for lease sign. Someone spray-painted "Cut out the cruelty" across the side wall. Mom and Dad sold the building to cover debts. Luke moved 2 towns over to escape the drama. And me? I slept better. I still got the occasional angry message, "Hope you're happy." I was, not because they suffered, but because Anya didn't anymore. One night, after her first small commercial shoot, a local bakery ad, she came home grinning, frosting still on her sleeve. "Mom," she said, "guess what the director told me?" "What?" He said, "You're a natural." I smiled. "He's right." She paused. "Do you think Grandma and Aunt Rachel know I'm on TV now?" "I think everyone does," I said. She giggled, kicked off her shoes, and ran down the hall. I watched her go, that red dress hanging in the closet like a flag we'd finally reclaimed. They erased her once. Now everyone saw her. So what do you think? Did I go too far, or not far enough? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more.